One, two, three, four. Hi. If you're watching this presentation, it means that I went offline while I was doing my synthesis presentation. So you're going to have to watch this video. I will soon join you as soon as I regain my internet connection. But just in case, I have recorded my presentation and I hopefully will be back for questions at the end. So I'm going to share my presentation so you can keep watching, and I apologize in advance if you were already into the presentation and you have to watch again everything, but hopefully not. So the idea is that since you have been watching presentations for the whole night, and I'm the last one, I want you to walk around and take a minute to breathe, walk, eat something if you feel like it. You can even take a minute and listen to the music, and we'll begin in a little while. Okay, let's continue then. I'm going to start by relating an anecdote in New York based on a true story that Professor Michael Clark told us at Harvard in a class I went in the spring of 2013. Elegantly dressed white couple is walking down Park Avenue. The wife proudly shows off her new handbag, a real Hermes worth $15,000. Their limousine awaits on the sidewalk outside a famous department store by Fifth Avenue. Pay attention because I'm going to ask you to do an exercise after I finish reading. Suddenly, there is a great commotion and a stout black woman with tousled hair rushes out of the department store, running towards them. So, what do you think is the husband's reaction and why? What is the wife's reaction and why? Who could be them? Who could then be? Make up a story. I'm going to go back to the previous slide and I want you to think what could have happened, who could the woman that it's running towards them is, and what could have been the reactions of both the husband and the wife. I'm going to give you about 45 seconds to think about this, and then I want volunteers to give me their version of the story. At this point, since this is a recorded version of the presentation, somebody must pause and wait until the exercise has been done in the class. Beliefs and prejudices. Beliefs and prejudices, um, they are consequences of our experiences, personal history, etc. Our vision of the world depends on them. So we're going to do an exercise now again. When I say cat, I want you to think of an image that comes to your mind when I say cat and you read in the screen the word cat. This exercise is about shared stereotypes. Which one did you think of when I said cat? Number one, number two, or number three? What labels would you give to each of these images? I want you to think about how many times have you realized that you inadvertently mislabeled someone? How many times has the cute cat turned out to be the tiger and the lion turned out to be the softest pet? In Venezuela, we have several stereotypes associated with the word red. I want you to think for a moment and tell me what you think when you see and read the word red. Any volunteers? Probably some of the answers will be around apple, a flower, just the color red, or someone like my beautiful daughter's wearing a t-shirt. And the same thing when I say see the color blue or you read the word blue. The ceiling, the sky, a pool, or just the color blue may just come immediately to your mind. Social psychology has shown repeatedly that prejudices are neither good nor bad. Save our lives. They help us to react quickly and appropriately. But let us not confuse what we observe with what we may infer from observation. However, they can skew our perception by limiting our understanding of the world. Prejudices can cause ruptures between people of the same land, even within the same family. And you will understand what I'm talking about with these color examples when you watch the video that we're going to play next. According to Nobel Prize winner Mario Vargas Llosa, lack of tolerance has filled Latin America's history with blood, pain, and suffering. imagine explaining a little bit what my synthesis is going to be about. So, we just moved to Boston initially for personal and family reasons for the political situation in Venezuela. My ex-husband, my children's father, me to go to Boston to join a program in politics at the Kennedy School of Government. He had been helping Capriles with a political campaign, and Capriles didn't win the presidential elections, and it was a good moment for us to all leave the country for a while until the water settled. It was a good opportunity for our children to learn the language. They are both Americans, and my ex-husband is American as well. I am not. So we decided to all move to Boston. I went with my children, and he went with friends of his. And I decided to apply to a graduate program in the meantime because I needed to find also something to do and some way of supporting myself as well. I got money from people, but I did to pay for the program since it was an educational curriculum. So they agreed to pay for part of it, to give me dollars to pay for it, because in Venezuela you cannot reach or you cannot get foreign currency unless you get it from the government and you justify what are you going to use it for, even though it is your money and you pay for it, but you need to go through the government to have access to it. So it was pretty complicated. We took our little dog, I took my two children, and we went and moved to Boston. So I spent 2 years there, very nice time, 1 year there, I'm sorry, very nice year. Before going there, my children were in Colegio Santiago de León de Caracas, a very good private school. They gave us permission to leave, but they advised us to leave just for a year because after 2 years, they wouldn't warranty our children staying in school. I also have my own store here in Venezuela, my house that will remain closed for the time we would spend in Boston. I usually do consultant work here that will also wait for me, and I left my fiance in Venezuela who I was going to marry before leaving, and he was not able to live with us because he had his job and his house. I was supposed to stay for a year. So we left. That picture you see there is my daughter with Leopoldo Lopez, a political leader that she interviewed as a school assignment because he went to school to the same institution she attends in Venezuela, and she was told to interview a role model that she admired before leaving, and she picked Leopoldo Lopez. While we were in Boston, he was incarcerated for no reason at all. He went to the Kennedy School of Government as well, the same program their father went to Boston to register on. So it was pretty strong, pretty tough for them, pretty tough experience to realize that a leader, a role model that she had just interviewed, that went to her own school and that did the same program her father was doing, that followed the same steps that she was following, and that had the same career her father has now, was in jail for no reason at all. That's one of the little examples of things that are happening in our country right now. But well, that's a little piece of my story. Then I joined the critical and creative thinking. Thank God I picked among several programs. And although I'm not a young lady anymore, I was admitted into CCT, and I'm very grateful. I did my master in 2 years. The first year, as I said, I was in Boston physically. The second year was a little bit of a challenge, but I was able to do it from Venezuela virtually, thanks to the great help and support of Peter and Jeremy and many other people in my family and my circle of friends that supported me and helped me when internet goes down, when once I had a hacker hacking into my accounts and lost all the work I had done for my third semester over and get it all done again. Everybody was real patient. Even Professor Orin Davis was very patient and was very nice. So I finally managed to do it. And here you have a pictograph that my daughter showed me how to do, where you can see all the courses I took during those 2 years. There you can see how every course gave me, and every one of those keywords is present in my synthesis project. I used them all, and I had fun at the beginning doing my synthesis. At the end, it was really complicated. Everybody gets stressed, I guess, even if a synthesis is less stressful than a dissertation, but I had fun until a point. Then stress got to me. But I did enjoy, and I think the CCT program gave me enough flexibility and support in the right measures to be able to explore and create following my interests, but also learning tools and um, discipline to follow a pattern and learn how to do research and be able to produce something instead of just reading randomly and thinking randomly. And at the end, I realized and I was able to think thoroughly a topic and achieve something. I was able to create connections, to reach out to people, and to actually build connections and have a real project going on. With Jeremy, I learned to do action research, which is real enriching because you see results immediately and you iterate and you are able to correct your mistakes and to do it better next time. And I'm really very happy to have joined CCT. I have no words to explain how much I have learned and how happy I feel to have joined the CCT community. And I plan to stay around however possible and to keep working with the tools I learned here. This is my curriculum. Closer look at it. I took thinking, learning, and computers, and from that I learned basically about technology and knowledge. I took reflective practice. I learned a lot of things out of it, but the most important words that come out from it for me are journaling and iteration. I realized that research and software development, which is my background, have a lot in common, and I was able to connect the two processes and more about both and connect them and apply them. Then during the second semester, I took scientific and political change. From there, I started to explore games and game scenarios, timelines, and participation frameworks. I took also advanced cognitive psychology, which was excellent for me with Carol Smith. I was loving